Hey ho everyone, and welcome to this in-depth recap of the ORAS Ubers matches of Week 4 of Ubers Premier League Week 4. Today I am joined by FF2.
I'm FF2, or full name Fat Fighter 2. Been playing Ubers for a few years now, and ORAS is one of the tiers that I think I would call myself qualified in. It's a fun tier.
Yeah, and I'm Waruchuu, as always. I don't know much about ORAS. For me, it mostly boils down to knowledge about Sun and Moon. That is probably very different here due to a different pool of Pokemon and no Z moves. So we'll see how that goes. So
Yeah, so Sun and Moon.
what makes this
Oh,
tier?
sorry, you can go.
What makes this tier special? What gives it its distinct identity from the other tiers?
Well, I think, as you said, Sun and Moon, it's actually quite a similar tier, just certain mons are just not, certain mons are better, and certain mons aren't, like, don't exist in ORAS. And that's why it plays pretty differently from SM, even though I feel like the games go out differently and the teams are different, but they're actually like quite similar tiers. Like I migrated from ORAS to SM very seamlessly, um, because SM is just has better defensive Pokemon compared to ORAS. The main things about ORAS is that, first of all, Xerneas is very strong. There's no good fair resist in this tier except for Pedon, Primal Groudon. The other ones are all like OU Pokemon, like Klefki, which is actually a great mon in ORAS, and stuff like Ferrothorn or Hole. But none of these are that solid. Klefki loses to Sleep Talk sets without Heal Block, and Ho and Ferrothorn both are beaten by coverage moves, and that means that Pedon has to kind of hold this tier together. This is why I see Primal Groudon in every single game, except for some stall games.
Yeah.
And in SM, it's different because you have Necrozma Duskmane, which is an amazing check.
Yeah.
And you also have Magirna, which is basically a juiced up Klefki that doesn't have spikes. So in SM, I think actually Xerneas is quite bad because it's not very good versus these fat teams with Primal Groudon and Necrozma Duskmane on the same team. But in ORAS, it's a lot different. This also makes Ho, like hyper offense, the dominant playstyle in ORAS. You see a lot of these games, they're all like Deoxys Speed, Excadrill, Cloyster, because of also how strong Xerneas is, how strong Darkrai is, and how strong Salamence is. Darkrai in SM had its Void, like Dark Void, completely nerfed, and it has to rely on Hypnosis, which is terrible, so it's a terrible Pokemon in SM. But in ORAS, it has Dark Void. There are not many good sleep absorbers in ORAS. There's Xerneas, Scarf Xerneas, and Sleep Talk Geomancy sets, which are pretty good, and there's Ho, but there's not that many great sleep resists. So Darkrai is very strong for being able to keep up the pressure for hyper offense teams. Salamence's Aerial Light was also nerfed in SM, so in ORAS it feels much stronger. It can pretty easily at times break through stuff like defensive RCS just through raw power. Like after Dragon Dance, it deals like 80 plus to even the most bulky RCS with like double edge. It's very scary, and it makes it very difficult to build these fat balances, which used to be popular in ORAS but have kind of fallen off. So ORAS is mostly defined by the whole, like the hyper offense matchups.
Yeah. Would you say
And
it's like
yeah,
as offensive as Scarlet and Violet, the current generation, or even more so?
I would argue it's even more offensive because Scarlet Violet, I feel like it's more bulky offense orientated. You have like double bikes, and then you have like buy score, whatever, and then RCS and Kyogre. But in ORAS, you can very easily see 50 like very easily see sometimes over half the teams being just straight hyper offense with a suicide lead. A lot of teams are still like very bulky offense, like left key, and then like 5 offensive mons. Um, so in that regard, I think it's actually more offensive than Scarlet and Violet, just because there's so much more hyper offense. And while in Scarlet and Violet, you see like webs and Deoxys speed and attack, but it's not as common as in ORAS.
Yeah. And so the primals, are they better or worse than in Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon?
I would say that they both. Groudon is better, Kyogre isn't. And the reason for this is just because Groudon, there's no alternative to it. If you're not running Fat Stall with Blissey, Ferrothorn, you have to run like Primal Groudon. There's just no like in Sun and Moon you can run. I run several teams with Necrozma, Dustmane, Ferrothorn balances, which perform great. It's fine because you don't need Primal Groudon. In ORAS, you kind of have to run Primal Groudon, and it's also a very strong offensive threat. There's no Zygarde, so Double Dance or like mixed sets are both very strong.
Yeah.
And yeah, while Kyogre, it's not as a mon, it's not any like nothing has changed between SM and ORAS, but in SM you see a lot more of these batter balances or bulky offenses, which Primal Kyogre can really thrive on. It can be really threatening to a lot of teams that just have Primal Groudon to try to check it. It can wear it down over time. In ORAS, it's kind of dead weight versus offense because it doesn't have any recovery. You get spikes and Stealth Rock up, and it switches in like one time, and it can never switch in again. So it's really dead weight against a lot of these teams. So that's why I think it's a lot easier to bring Primal Kyogre in SM compared to ORAS.
Yeah, right. Also, an interesting aspect to know about would be what Arceus forms are the strongest in ORAS.
Right, it's quite similar to SM actually. E-Killer is actually even better. There's no Marshadow, which is huge. Marshadow is really strong in SM. There's no Marshadow. And there's also not as much Yveltal. Yveltal is not as good with so much Xerneas around. And it's better in like the bulkier SM meta where like these taunt toxic sets are so annoying to play against. But that also means that E-Killer is even better in ORAS. Groundy is just as good as ORAS as in like SM. Like they're both in both tiers. Groundy is amazing. One important mon that is actually like good in ORAS, but like dog shit in every other tier is Roxas, which I'm a huge fan of, but it's a very solid Arceus form in ORAS just because Salamence is super strong. Ho-Oh is also very good. And there's not really, as I said for Xerneas, there's not really good steel type in ORAS. So Roxas can actually be very threatening because it's neutral versus Primal Groudon. So Calm Mind sets can sweep pretty easily sometimes. So that's one big difference. But otherwise, they're pretty similar. Fairy is better in SM because of Marshadow and Yveltal. But you'll still see some of the same types like ground, normal, water, fairy, dark in SM as you will ORAS. There's not a huge difference.
Yeah. Also, a few things to mention in general about the generation. This was, of course, the first generation in which the fairy type was introduced, so that changed the whole dynamic, as well as, of course, Steel losing its resistance to the ghost and dark type. Another interesting thing is that Defog now has the effect of removing hazards on both sides of the field, other than previously. That also changed a lot, but it also hasn't been is not available to as many mons because later in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon there was an attack tutor which which added defog to the moveset of many different Pokemon. What else? I think Will-O-Wisp still or Burn still did 12% here, right?
Yes, it's very annoying. Also, one huge thing is there's not really many good burners except for Ho. but that is very important for like you Sacred Fire in Arceus in SM and you get a burn. It's kind of like sometimes even bad because you want Toxic on it instead of burn. In ORAS, it's 12% every time. It's much more annoying. Another huge thing is that Gengar's Destiny Bond, you can Destiny Bond that like as many times as you want in a row and it won't fail. This makes Gengar much stronger.
Oh
For
yeah,
example, like yeah, for example versus like E-Killer, right? Say if it's like +2 or like +4 E-Killer. In ORAS, you kind of like say you have a taunt debond set, you can debond like several times and then taunt one time and then debond again, and then you basically kill it. In SM, it's like a 50-50 more like. If you debond the first time and they like sword dance again,
what is
then you can't debond again.
yeah.
So
Yeah. Also, one thing that just reminded me of the speed of Mega Evolution works differently here
mhm.
than in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. The priority or the turn order is set at the beginning of the turn, so even before the Pokemon are Mega Evolved, meaning that Gengar still has a speed stat of 110 basically the turn it Mega Evolves, and only after that it gets the speed stat of 130. So I believe it usually runs some, or no, I think that was only Beedrill who runs Protect. But I think this mostly affects Mega Salamence and Mega Gengar, not really anything else, right?
Yeah, it mostly affects the Mega Gengar and Diancie too. Salamence isn't so bad because it's already pretty fast and like normally it's trying to set up on the first turn, so speed doesn't matter that much. Um, Gengar in ORAS often has to run Protect just to safely get off its Mega. For example, if you don't Protect versus a max speed E-Killer, you can Mega and just die right away because you aren't faster right away. Diancie also often has to run Protect because it's really, really slow in its base form. And it needs to be fast to like check a lot of stuff. Diancie's also a great Pokemon in ORAS. Same reason as Roxy but Diancie's a great Pokemon in ORAS too.
Yeah.
Uh, that isn't great at all in SM. It's actually quite bad in SM.
Yeah, that's also interesting. An interesting side effect: Magic Bounce was previously only available to Xatu and Espeon, I believe, and through the Mega Evolution, it has also been given to Sableye, Diancie, and Absol. But Absol has no usage, I believe. Uh,
No.
yeah, but I think we can go into the games if there's nothing else to add.
Yeah, let's go into the games.
Yeah, maybe we can start with another one because this seems fairly defensive. So, uh, maybe a more standard
Sure.
game like this might be better first look into the
Right.
tier. Yeah. Okay.
So right off the bat, you see that Mada's using a very fat balance. Actually, this is just Durian stall, which is a term for the stall core of Giratina, Arceus Ground, Ferrothorn, Blissey, Lugia, and Sableye. I think it's one of the best stalls in Ubers, like across generations. And it's definitely like the most popular stall in ORAS because it's just very solid. It covers a lot of grounds and it just does very well. And
Uh,
Roy is using a more bulky offense team.
yeah. Real quick. So, if you don't know what it means, durian refers to this spiky tropical fruit, which Ferrothorn resembles the shape of. I'm not sure if it's based on that. I think that's yeah. That's
Yeah,
also
it
why.
is. I think
That's
a
also
durian, sorry, Ferrothorn's based on the durian fruit, so it's called durian stall because of Ferrothorn.
yeah. The defined durians are also called that because of Ferrothorn. Yeah. Go on. What?
Yeah, so Royals team, one interesting thing to note has Ditto. And Ditto is always an interesting Pokemon to face versus stall or to use versus stall. Because one thing that lets you do is that lets you basically have infinite PP because Ditto switches in copies of Pokemon gets its moves. Say it comes in on Blissey, it can use aromatherapy to like cleric its own team. It can switch in on like gear A and like rest off or like defog. So Diddle lets you have like infinite PP basically because you can just switch in and out and use whatever moves and then switch out. It also lets you just have a lot more flexibility because you can copy whatever you need from the opposing team. So that's very interesting. But depending on his other sets, Royal probably has a pretty definitely playable matchup. I think he has a lot of strong Pokemon. Lucario can put in work, especially with rocks up. It can pressure Lugia and Giratina a lot. And Yveltal, depending on what set it is, if it's Scarf, it's not really much use. But if it's like anything like Band or like some taunt set, it could be really annoying. And Xerneas, of course, is always a threat. Depending on what set it is, especially if it's like Focus Blast, which could be really useful for breaking Blissey and Ferroform. But Royal definitely has at least, on like first glance, at least a playable matchup. He definitely has offensive wins that he can try to get towards.
Yeah. So generally, did Mada bring the stall team because of like matchup fishing or just general preparations for Royal? I mean, you said that stall wasn't good in ORAS at all. So, what could be the
Oh, sorry.
reason?
I meant to say that at least like, or I didn't mean to say that. Stall is actually, I think it's quite good in ORAS, to be honest,
Oh,
which is kind of ironic because ORAS has a lot of like offense teams, but I think that
so
like
there's
Durian
just
Stall is a
no
very
in
popular
between,
team.
just no really balance or bulky offense.
There, in like 2016, people used to run a lot of like Mega Gengar balances, and I actually liked that for a while too. Like in 2020, um, those were like Arceus Ground, Gengar, Klefki, Primal Groudon, even Scarf Landorus T. Those have kind of died out, but there's still, of course, balanced teams out there. Stall is quite good though. During Stall covers a lot, and I think a lot of people like. There's not many like bad matchups for During Stall good play, so it's definitely very. I think it's a very good archetype in ORAS. Uh, it's not overpowered, but it's like it's strong into a lot of stuff. So I wouldn't call it matchup fishing. Although again, like all stalls kind of matchup fishing because you have to hope they don't bring like the breaker that you can never like hope to defeat. But like it's a very good team.
Yeah. Two more things maybe. Knockoff did already get buffed in this generation, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Belto will probably have knockoff. It can be very threatening, but it can't knock off like it can't knock off RCS forms like the non RCS normal RCS forms. So that would be like every team has that built-in knockoff absorber.
Yeah. And another thing, or maybe also two things. Heavy duty boots aren't an item in this generation yet, if you are going to wonder why nobody's using it. And also, Mega Evolution works differently from Terrestrialization, for example. So you do have to give the Pokemon an item to use it, so it can't carry any other item being locked into that item. But I think with that analysis, we can start the game. So
Those Durian stall will always need Sableye first, like every single time, unless you're like a bad player, or like it's a very specific matchup. But it'll lead Sableye every single time and fake out. That way you can get the mega off and you have the magic bounce up right away. Because say if you like go I don't know Ferroform first and they go like Primal Groudon, then they can click Stealth Rock and they don't have to worry about magic bounce at all. So they always go Sableye first play. So this is just something to note.
yeah. So what does the Eviltel lead do into this Sableye here?
I'm not sure. It could be maybe it wants to get some helmet damage. I mean, helmet Yveltal does exist. I'm not sure. Depending on the fake out calcs, I could see how bulky it is or if it has lefties at all.
Yeah.
But I can't tell at this moment. That's not a very bulky Yveltal.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is probably specs, I think. That damage is... I'd have to go calculate real quick. I think that's specs, which makes sense because if you're like some defensive Yveltal, there's no like Z moves, like Z foul play. You can't really do anything to it because taunt and toxic gets bounced back.
Yeah. Also, in general, if this match does get longer, do tell me if I should skip a few turns. Oh, taunt doesn't specs actually. So
it's probably then Dark Plate because
yeah.
that is still a pretty strong Dark Pulse. This should be a very this is probably a good matchup then with this set. This is very annoying for stall. You can see getting taunted, and Beaufort has Gyro Ball, which can hit it pretty hard. Right, this is already going pretty poorly. Blissy's down to 55%.
Oh, that
another on a crit. That is very bad. Now it taunts again. Or toxic.
That also reminds me of another thing. Sorry to interject here again. Crits have been nerfed to 1.5 here in this generation already, right? 1.
Again?
Crits only do 1.5 times the damage.
Yeah. Yes.
All right.
That's very nice. I think two times is way too much. But yeah, this is definitely Dark Plate. It's a very strong give out.
Yeah, hexing back.
And now you can get a Brox, and
that's very unfortunate in this matchup.
Lucky.
Yeah.
At least Royal gets a dead Arceus Ground, which is nice. Just for like Groudon and Lucario sometimes.
Yeah. So you did say that the Xerneas here.
Can you pause for 1 second?
Yep.
I'm sorry, go on.
That Xerneas usually run Geomancy here, so like Choice Scarf with Defog wouldn't be an option, right?
Well, first of all, Xerneas doesn't have Defog, unfortunately, in ORAS.
Yeah.
It might actually be an okay Defogger, probably not, because it's always Primal Groudon Stealth Rocking, but it doesn't have Defog. But it can run Scarf. I think Scarf is a great set. It's a great switch into Darkrai, and it could be Scarf here because it could be Scarf, but I don't think it would be Scarf because there's Ditto as speed control already. There's Lucario for priority. It could be. It's probably Geomancy. It could even be Specs, which is also a pretty cool set, but it's hard to tell right now. And you see Lucario is using Iron Tail, which is pretty tragic because it doesn't get Meteor Mash. In SM, it gets Meteor Mash. It uses that. It's great. In ORAS, it has to use Iron Tail, so there's a lot of luck involved too.
Yeah. So while we're over Giratina, could you maybe go a bit into why the standard form is used and not Giratina Origin?
Right. The main reason is just that Giratina is much bulkier. Giratina A. And another big reason is that Giratina A has leftovers, while Giratina O has to run the Grisius Orb or whatever it's called. And those just make Giratina A like much better on stall. It can actually rest and actually like wake up. Giratina O is just not bulky enough, and not like it doesn't have that passive recovery. Makes it much harder to keep it like alive for the whole game. And you don't need like the offense at all. Like as you can see, Giratina A, it's running Dragon Tail, probably running Toxic, it's running Rest and Defog, and that's it. There's like no offense.
Yeah, so the ground immunity also isn't as valuable in this tier because Primal Groudon, of course, isn't as prevalent, and ground as well as not used as often as the other Arceus forms, right?
Pressure is also nice too. It also means that you can PP stall out Stealth Rock.
Oh yeah, of course.
Now you can see Groudon getting in and probably Toxic coming out here. Right. This could be refreshed RCS.
So Arceus doesn't have
As you see,
taunt in this generation, right?
Oh, and this is a stealth. You can see that. I could pause for a second. This E killer is it's a little bit odd because it's running lefties, which is a little bit. It's not the most popular item choice, although it's still like used. I think people usually like Silk Scarf, usually like sometimes even Power Herb for the what's it called?
Taunt.
Spectral Force or something like that.
No, what was it?
Not the name of that move,
The special move of
but
Shadow Force. Shadow
yeah,
Force, that was it.
Shadow Force, right? That's a very cool tech for Gengar, because Gengar Megas, it tries to protect, and then you Shadow Force, it goes right through protect, and Gengar just dies. But this lefties kind of gave it away. But Sableye is also a great E killer counter, because you can only hit it with like Shadow Claw, and Shadow Claw doesn't do that much, and then Sableye can use Foul Play. But you can see that here, this RCS is a Stealth Rocker, which is a little bit odd, and it Stealth Rocks right into Sableye and does nothing.
Yeah. So you would say
So now this is pretty rough.
Yeah, this generation looks pretty rough for Royal. I believe the freeze on Yveltal was probably fatal, but let's see how this turns out. Ice
I haven't
Beam.
seen this game actually, so right. So this is actually odd defensive RCS normal. The big plus is that it runs leftovers, which no other RCS can do. The big minus is that it doesn't have really any good resist. So that's the juicy foul play. Now you know that Groudon is not a stealth rocker, so you can switch right into your defensive Pokemon, and you know, eats up that Earthquake quite well. I get off another Toxic on Xerneas. This is probably then a Sleep Talk Geomancy Xerneas, or Scarfer maybe, just because it's odd to like throw out your Xerneas so willy nilly for no reason. Right, Lugia runs Psychic for Mega Gengar, and it does a lot to
Oh yeah, alright.
Lucario.
Is Lugia
see
good
Rose getting a
in
little bit
this tier?
frustrated. So sorry, say again.
Is Lugia good in ORAS? Or
No, it's not good except for like in hard stall. Like during stall is probably where you see Lugia 90% of the time. It's pretty terrible in every other team just because it's really passive. But in during stall, it can fill certain holes. Mainly, it's really useful versus Salamence, which as you can see, there's no flying resistance during stall. You have to rely on Lugia and like ground, Arceus ground, and Guillotine and check it. And Lugia is really nice because it's so bulky. It can phase. Yeah, it's really useful in during stall, but it's not really good anywhere else.
alright. So how would
Royal
really get out of this situation?
Yeah. Well, he hasn't. Well, unfortunately, Ditto hasn't really been used like at all. So right now, with how weak Royal's team is right now, like as in like everything's damaged, Ditto might not be very helpful anymore, because like what are you going to do? Like with Ditto, you can't switch around with how weak your team is. Lucario can still put in work. Some maybe crits on Iron Tail and some hits on Iron Tail. Groudon's probably too low to do that much. Arceus can get a freeze, and that'd be really nice for Lucario. And Xerneas can still win the game. I think Blissey is still pretty low. I think at 50% or so. If this Xerneas is somehow if it's Power Herb Focus Blast, it could somehow like break through a Blissey with Pure Force. But it's Toxic, and I think that Rest Sleep Talk Geomancy kind of gets PP stalled by Blissey. Blissey runs Confide just to PP stall this. So it's kind of rough. I don't know how he gets out of this.
Yeah.
Probably the best win con right now is just Xerneas, because Arceus is not a win con. Lucario is really weak. and Groudon's also low, and from how his stats looks, like Earthquake, it's not that strong right now. Aroa's fishing for freeze, which is perfectly fair considering his Arceus is kind of like useless right now. Might as well try to hope for the freeze. Unfortunately, he isn't as lucky as Mada, so
Yeah.
right, he forfeits here, which is perfectly fair. His Xerneas might not even be rest talk. It might just be like Geomancy, like normal. In which case you can't really like heal it at all. So it just gets like dies from toxic. There's Lucario's and Groudon's really weak. There's not really much hope here for Royal.
Yeah. So
Fortunately for him, Yveltal was probably his only chance to win the game.
yeah. So let's move on to game 2 then. Let's maybe
Want to
go.
avoid this?
What did you say?
I don't think that game's that long if you don't go for it. The M game, it's like 30 moves. I think this is the one game I've watched.
All right. So could you tell us a bit about the matchup? Those teams do look pretty similar.
Right, so, as you can see, Mega Zygarde is using the install because it is the best stall in ORAS. I won't hear any questions about it. Mysterious M though, he's bringing a stall core obviously, but he has a random T-Tar and a random Xerneas over Giratina and Ferroform. So that these two mons are a lot of like, say it, they're like the ace in the sleeve for M, because against like Durian versus Durian mirror matchups, it's just a tie because Ferroform can't spike on Sableye, and you can't really get any progress done. Just from matchup, M obviously I think has the best chances to win. Mega Zygarde, say if Xerneas and T-Tar are both dead, I don't even think he can win from there. Like he has to get Stealth Rock up with maybe like Arceus Ground and really put pressure on M. I'm not sure how, because none of these Pokemon that Mega Zygarde has can really do damage. So he has to make some like crazy doubles or something. So right off the bat, M has the most winning chances because Guitar and maybe Pursuit. We're not sure what set it is. Xerneas can maybe Geomancy. We're not sure what set it is. They're both wild cards.
Yeah. So in general, you'd probably agree that MZ really has the priority to not let hazards get up, and also can't get Blissey get too low. Otherwise, Xerneas does look very, very scary here. What do you suppose are the Arceus forms?
For Zygarde, ground. They're all ground. Ground is probably the best defensive type in ORAS. It's always just nice. I don't think anyone.
Yeah.
One underrated quality of Arceus Ground is that it's really hard to switch into. Like, its coverage, like Ice Beam and Ground Judgment, it's just a good like mix. There's not actually that many Pokemon that can switch into it. Even in SM2, it's very annoying. As you build teams and you realize, wait, I'm 6-0 by Arceus Ground. Like Giratina O can't do that much to it. It just gets Ice Beamed. It's just very annoying. And mainly it has like the super effective move on Primal Groudon. That's the biggest thing. And so I'm like 95% sure these are both Arceus Grounds.
Alright. Both leading off with Sableye.
Right, and they're both Sableye each other right away because they want that magic bounce up right away. And now they're just doing Sableye things and foul play each other. Very exciting.
So foul play from M's Sableye does more damage. Does that mean MZ's Sableye is running knockoff?
No, it just means that Mega Zygarde probably has attack IVs on his Sableye and Mysterious M doesn't. It's kind of a kind of an interesting thing. I wondered when I'm like making all teams, it's like you sometimes you actually kind of want foul play to do a little bit more damage, like chip stuff down. like so you think like, do I want to have like some extra attack IVs, or do you want to have no attack IVs because you want foul play to do a little bit less damage? In the end, it doesn't really matter that much for both these guys because Sableyes are not going to be breaking other Sableyes. So it goes right to Xerneas on the foul play, and now the big threat is in.
What?
So right away, the Xerneas is a mixed life orb Xerneas. I actually M is on my team. I actually thought this mon was shit, but in this matchup, it was like perfect. So, right, the biggest thing about
close combat was like the last move I expected.
Yeah, I see this set is pretty shit, but it really worked out in this matchup. It's basically the best set you want if you're facing Blissey, because as you can see, it did 93%. And it also does a lot to Veraform too, because Veraforms they have special defense investment for Xerneas and Primal Kyogre, so close combat should also chunk them. And now right away, M is in the driver's seat. He has almost dead Blissey, and this Xerneas is a huge threat because of its set. And we're not sure what other moves Xerneas has. It's definitely Moonblast, but we're not sure what else it has. It could be No Thunder, could be Aromatherapy.
So definitely expecting the Blissey to switch out there, otherwise it would have just clicked Moonblast. So question is, why did MZ keep the Blissey? I would suppose at this low of HP it wouldn't be able to get back up, right?
So Blissey has some entry points actually, considering how stally Mysterious M's team is. I'm not sure about the count, but I bet Sableyes foul play doesn't do more than 7%. Because Blissey has like no attack.
Yeah, it has 5 attack base.
Can get on through that. Also, other Blissey's on stall usually do not run Seismic Toss because they need Confide, they need Toxic, and they need Healing Move, and they need Aromatherapy.
What does Confide
do? They don't have enough room for Seismic Toss, so they can actually run like so Blissey can come in on our Blissey and like get a free recovery off. So this Blissey could still heal back up sometimes.
Interesting.
But if this was T-Tar, it'll be very difficult.
You said something about Confide.
Pursuit.
What is that?
Right. So Blissey's not just in ORAS, but in like SS too, I know. They run Confide, which is normally a very shitty move, but it's importantly able to help them beat All Mine Kyogre, Primal Kyogre. And
could you maybe tell what the move even does? I don't know what.
Yeah. So it's a sound move, so it goes past Substitute, I believe. And it just lowers the special attack by 1 stage. That's it. And has 32 PP, which is the most important part because it has the same amount of PP as Calm Mind and twice the PP as Geomancy. So Geomancy boosts special attack by 2 stages, right?
Yeah.
So like keep up with that. That means that versus like Sleep Talk, like non-focus blast Xerneas, without any crits, Blissey can one-on-one it because it just PP stalls all the Geomancies out, and then Xerneas can't do anything.
That's interesting.
So yeah, otherwise Blissey automatically loses to like Rest, Sleep Talk Xerneas because it can't hurt it. Like it tries to Toxic and just rest off, so it has to PP stall it out.
No pursuit.
Also, I just checked. Foul play does like about 7% exactly. So maybe it's a roll. It might kill. I'm not sure. This is a lot of damage. Sableyes are often physically defensive. And now it gets pursued and dies. This is already really bad for Mega Zygarde.
Yeah.
This is quite obviously a pretty offensive Tyranitar because 40%, like 45% is a lot of damage. You can see that Blissey tries to heal up on the other Blissey, right? And T-Tar comes in. It's going to threaten a pursuit, which will do a lot of damage. Will kill Blissey at this range.
Actually crunches, right? Leaving more damage.
Prediction game now.
And predicts.
And now he gets both the moves. gets both turns right, and then he crunches when he stays in and pursues when he switches out.
Yeah, I believe this is where it's pretty much over for MZ because now Hazards can get up and there's nothing stopping the Xerneas anymore, right?
Yeah, there's Fairform, which and Lugia. Both of those can. Oh, but this is also Wish too. This is Wish. Let's see. This is gonna be really tough now
And the
because
Lugia gets toxic, yeah.
yeah, and now Titar and Xerneas are basically have unlimited lives because they can get wished by Blissey. Wisp, alright, Wisp, and then Magic Bounce. This is very bad now.
Yeah.
This Sableye can probably win the game on its own now, to be honest. Just because like nothing else
Nothing
can really
to
switch in.
threaten it anymore, yeah.
Yeah, now he has to rest, and because he knows that he has to rest, he can switch out, and now he has a free turn to do whatever he wants. Probably defog because he doesn't have another defogger. Yeah, he has to defog here, and then Terraform can never do anything versus the Sableye. This is pretty much over. At worst, a tie with terrible play by M if he throws all his mons away, but right. M can just switch around and wait till he gets like the perfect opportunity to like kill another mon with Xerneas or Titar.
Yeah.
See, Garball does nothing because Sableye is also just as slow as as Ferroborn. So
yeah, and there's the forfeit.
There's not really any hope because MZ just once M gets the right opportunity, he just comes in and kills him on, and there's not really much he can do about it.
Yes.
Pretty unfortunate matchup for MZ. There's not that much that he can do against this, except maybe like somehow forehead figure out that Xerneas is close combat, which is kind of possible.
So wouldn't Moonblast have been better here? Because if the Blissey comes into the Moonblast, it would have died from the close combat for sure.
I don't think so, just because if you Moonblast and you reveal your Life Orb,
oh yeah,
Life Orb isn't really a thing. Like while you're on Life Orb, and I think it's really obvious. At least if I see a Moonblast and it's a Life Orb, I'm like, shit, this is probably like close combat or something physical, because there's not really a reason why you want Life Orb on a random Xerneas, especially on the stall team, unless you're mixed.
Yeah, so M did get a lot of turns right, and also had a lot of did prepare well for this matchup. So definitely, interesting match.
Very tough for Mega Zygarde, and it just happens like that sometimes.
Yeah. All right. Then let's move on to the next game. Probably the highlight game of this recap.
So let me introduce both players. freezai, he's more of a recent ORAS superstar, but his exact record. But in World Cup, he almost led India to victory. They made it to finals and it came down to like one game, and freezai went like it was some absurd like 8-1 or something. And Hack, he's like an older player. I think he's around like 7 years ago or something like that. He's pretty old now, but he's I think regarded as like one of the best Ubers players. And I guess he's back from retirement now, and I think these two are probably the best ORAS players in the pool. I think you can also make a meme about like the best ORAS player today versus the best ORAS player of the past or whatever. Like
Jujutsu Kaisen. Yeah.
Yeah, but these two, I'd say, at least before the tour, I'm not sure about their current record. They're probably the best ORAS players in the tier.
Yeah.
freezai, actually, I'm just looking at the sheet now, isn't having a very good season. He's 1-3, but at least I would think that before the tour, these two were probably like the highest ranked ORAS players.
What about Keys?
Keys is probably like those are probably like the top 3. Keys is kind of like he probably likes ORAS more than any other person in the world. I'm not sure actually like how high they rank them. Let me actually check the PRs.
Yeah, and well, that is covered. I could also add, I believe Hack pretty much played since the inception of Smogon or Pokemon Showdown for that. I believe I've seen some replays of from 2013 of Black and White from
like
Hack.
um, for
Um,
example, like I was talking earlier about how like back then we had like ORAS is more people like balances more. Like I've seen Hack replays from like 2016 with these sort of balances like Kangaskhan, Klefki, or like Mega Gengar balances. A lot of Mega Gengar back then. But yeah, he's definitely been around for a long time.
yeah, and freezai, of course, is also one of the most well-known PokeTubers in the competitive scene, but I probably don't have to tell you that. If you're watching this video, you very likely already know him for that. Yeah. So what did
Right.
the
So
power rankings reveal?
Hack wasn't ranked in ORAS because he started in Black White, I think. But I think that if you like ranked ORAS, like the ORAS players with Hack, I think people would say that he's like number one because people consider him a really great player. Um, Number two is actually Keys, and freezai is actually a little bit lower. But I'd actually have put freezai higher, like in the power rankings before this tour. But both these players are very good players, so this should be a very exciting match.
Yeah. So going right into the matchups, Scolipede does look like a strange pick. I believe in Black and White it is used for speed boost alongside toxic spikes. Is it used for that purpose in auras as well?
Right, it's basically the only two toxic spikes leads in ORAS, the other one being Cloister. Um, and it's a good lead, I think. I don't think people would hate on it. It's a good lead. Um, it it has toxic spikes, it's fast, and it has Endeavor to threaten monsters at 1 HP. Um, it's a very good Pokemon. It also has spikes too. Some sets might also run dual spikes. But Toxic Spikes is really strong because there's no grounded poison types in ORAS, like at all. Like, and so Primal Groudon and Arceus basically automatically get poisoned when you have Toxic Spikes up. A lot of other Pokemon are really badly affected by it. Freezai's team isn't that bad into it because he has 3 Pokemon immune to it, but still Toxic Spikes still poison Xerneas, Arceus, and Groudon, so it's very threatening. Um,
Does
so
Bronzong have
Freezai's
Fuel
brought
Bell?
more like no, which is kind of ironic.
Yeah,
Like, it
okay.
doesn't have to go.
Despite being a bell.
It will be like Stealth Rock, Gyro Ball, Toxic, Flex slot in it. It's a fine Pokemon, but it's kind of passive. But it's mostly used because it's the best Xerneas deck like ever. Like Xerneas just never wins against it unless it's low health, because it's super bulky, and you just click Gyro Ball, do like 70% to it. So
Yeah.
depending on what Mewtwo form hack is, Mega Mewtwo X could do a lot, especially if Xerneas gets low. Mega Mewtwo Y, if it's Fire Blast, it could maybe break through Bronzong. Uh, it's hard to tell who has the edge right away.
So the
Uh,
Latias, that is guaranteed Mega Latias and not Solju, right?
Sorry, say again.
That is Mega Latias and it wouldn't possibly carry Soldu, right? That was nerfed this
Oh, I
generation.
don't think. Oh no, it was nerfed. In SM, the
Oh,
ORAS they're
okay.
all still do. And it's probably better than Mega Latios, to be honest. But
Oh,
here you should see it's Mega Lucario. So
yeah.
I've
Oh,
never seen a Mega
my
Latios
bad.
like
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
I've never seen Mega Latios, but Latios is a very good Pokemon. It's kind of like the offense. It's kind of like Giratina and it defogs. It can defog and it checks Primal Groudon, but it's also a lot faster and a lot stronger, and especially like just Psyshock and Draco Meteor, like it threatens a lot of Hack's team like right away. Like everything dies to Draco Meteor, but Xerneas, which takes a lot of damage from Psyshock.
Okay.
I think this is a pretty. It's hard to tell how this will go. This matchup. It kind of depends. Rayquaza can be a big threat because it could be V-Create, and then that would threaten Bronzong. But freezai has definitely, I think, playable matchup here. Hard to tell who has advantage right away.
Yeah.
Smoky lead, right? Right, Lucario can Swords Dance or Iron Tail, and then it can Bullet Punch right after that. So that forces Scolipede to only have one layer of Toxic Spikes, which is pretty nice. So Mewtwo, we're not sure if it's X or Y, so you have to switch out. Latios is a good mid-ground because it covers both, but Side Strike does a lot of damage, you can see, because Latios' defense stat kind of sucks. Well, it sucks in terms of Ubers terms, and Mega Mewtwo Y is really strong, so it's taking a lot of damage. This could be a big threat because Fire Blast will at least do a lot to Bronzong, and not really much else can switch into it. So this is a big threat for sure. Bronzong goes here, predicting Ice Beam or Side
and it's get frozen.
It gets frozen right away, which is really unlucky.
So
okay. Yeah, now this is he's already taken advantage of this, and now he gets a crit
Mada?
and Bronzong. And Hack says, "Okay, sorry," because he knows that freezai did not have much of a chance with this sort of luck. At least his Bronzong did not have a chance.
Yeah.
And now it's a lot more because Xerneas is now a huge threat. Lucario's Bullet Punch does like 40 to it. It's not that much, to be honest. And Groudon's taking T-Spikes. So this Xerneas could, with just a little bit of chip, could get like out of hand and win the game. And Mewtwo Y is still behind Substitute. It's a big, big problem. This is looking very bad for freezai already.
Yeah.
He has to sack Lucario just to get get another crit. I'm not sure if that matters.
Yeah, probably not. Mewtwo has like 180 special attack base.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And Sazerac also does a lot of damage here.
Right, this is not Scarf Dan, it's Geomancy. And now at least
rest.
Tries to rest right away. So what he's that's unfortunate.
Oh no.
So what for a second?
Yeah.
What I think some people might be confused why he rested. But what he's trying to do is that he doesn't want. First of all, he knows that he's like behind, so he has to take some risks, right? And so he wants to. If he doesn't rest and kills it right away, then Xerneas has like 20% HP left. Rayquaza can just come in. It's definitely Sash Rayquaza, or maybe Light Orb, but it's probably Sash. Comes in, he kills it, and you have a full health Sash Rayquaza. Freezai hoping that he can rest off, and then Sleep Talk, pull a Moonblast, which has a 50-50% chance of happening because you only run Moonblast, Sleep Talk, and Rest. He's hoping he can get that 50% chance, and then he has a Xerneas at 44% HP or so, which is a lot. Well, at least he has better chances. But unfortunately, Hack crits, and now he can just save his Mega Mewtwo Y, go to Sash Rayquaza, and then kill with extreme speed.
Yeah.
So this is a little bit of an unfortunate game for freezai. I don't think he had that much of a chance. A defogs for Primal Groudon, trying to keep Primal Groudon healthy. Now he goes for a freeze here, which he actually gets it, but he has a chance now.
Yeah.
Ice Beam might be a little bit odd, but like at this point you have to go for the freeze chances, even though like it does less than Judgment.
Rock Polish, now it's speeding everything, but of course.
Right, so he's trying to win with his Rock Polish Groudon because he knows that this is the last Pokemon that has a chance to win. Everything else is too weak and too slow. And this is a mixed Groudon, which is Rock Polish, Fire Blast, Precipice Blades, and Dragon Pulse.
Oh, it does get a burn. That's...
He gets a lucky burn.
Yeah.
And now RCS Ghost is also weakened, so now it doesn't kill.
Yeah, burn halves the damage of physical attack moves.
So as you can see, alright, but it doesn't kill because he's not physically invested. He's special Groudon, so Precipice Blades doesn't do as much damage. Normal, if you're like double dance Groudon, like rock polish as swords dance, stone edge. This would definitely kill because you're like fully invested. You have all the attack. So, but now it doesn't kill, and let's see if Hack can hit his. All right, both players hit their precipice blades.
Yeah, Arceus is still
And he
poisoned,
has to
so
recover now. He has to recover now because otherwise Mega Mewtwo Y just kills it with Ice Beam.
yeah,
He
fishing.
has to try to hope for a miss. Yeah,
Yeah,
but
fishing
this
for miss.
Hack's Groudon is not missing.
Also has the possibility to crit. Stone Edge has a higher crit rate. I
Yes.
believe that's like 16%.
These might be the luckiest Groudons ever because I haven't seen either of them miss.
Forcing the
Right,
Draco
so
Meteor.
He went to Y, right? And because Psyshock doesn't kill, he lured out a Draco, and now Latios doesn't kill unless it's a crit. So he had to go for the crit there. But now it's over.
Yeah.
He substitutes just to get some extra poison damage, and Ice Beam should kill with poison. Toxic Spice did its work. Oh,
Yeah.
crit too, but it didn't matter.
So
I think freezai did a good job though of keeping it competitive. Can you go back to where freezai set up his primal Groudon?
yeah.
Yeah, I'll go back to the Xerneas thing. Right, so he finally got a little bit of luck and he froze the Xerneas with Ice Beam, and this actually gave him like a chance. Like now he was able to go to primal Groudon, rock polish. Luckily he defogged earlier, but this is so he had a chance of primal Groudon. If this was toxic, there's no way he'd win. But now he's able to, with the frozen Xerneas, get a rock polish off, and now he had a chance to win. Although it was still uphill for him, he had to get a crit.
Yeah. So did very good job at recovering the situation after all these hacks. Of course, playing for the luck here after getting crit, getting here frozen and set up on another crit. So defogged. It gets the freeze as well and does a great job of recovering, but in the end also manages to do it with manages to do it with
although more preferably he would have wanted to crit, but like you got a burn. I gave him a chance.
Yeah.
Although it might have been a roll too. Like it might have been a roll. I don't know if that would kill, but yes.
So a lot of luck on both sides. Luck was what also allowed freezai to recover the situation mostly, but that were
the one thing that wasn't unlucky for both sides. Both sides hit every single move in their Groudon. Both the Groudons were super lucky.
Yeah.
They both hit their Precipice Blades, Stone Edges, and Fire Blast, which is pretty extraordinary to be honest.
Yeah. All right. Then we do have one more game, but this game is from week 5 actually. Also from Hack versus MZ this time. So week 4 did have. Oh, do you want to say something else about?
Oh no. Oh, you wanted to add the Mega Zygarde versus Hack game because one game was a dead game last week, right?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. So dead game means that in this team tour, one team has already lost. So the players agreed to just not play while the game would have no impact on the tour as a whole or on the match there.
Right.
Yeah.
So right away, okay. Mega Zygarde has a pretty normal offense, like hyper offense here. He has Excadrill, which is one of the best hyper offense leads because it's that Stealth Rock up. It can Rapid Spin away. It has a pretty good matchup versus a lot of other hyper offense leads because it can like Rapid Spin away like other hazards. And he has a pretty normal like hyper offense team other than Excadrill. He has Rayquaza, probably Stash, because Excadrill is good at keeping rocks off. And you have probably Sash Darkrai too. It makes sense for Excadrill team, which is Excadrill is one of the best Pokemon at keeping rocks off, and so you might want to have like multiple sashes on your team to really make use of that, and then probably and because there's already a Ghost type, probably E-Killer for the last slot, and Hack has a pretty strong looking bulky offense. It has two birds, which makes it a little bit weak to Stealth Rock. But you have Mega Gengar. You have probably Arceus Ground here just to like glue the team together. Otherwise, you don't really have anything to like. You lose to like Groudon pretty easily with any other Arceus form. But this Ditto here could be huge here because Ditto famously is pretty good versus Hyper Offense because you copy all the boosts.
And you get the Choice Scarf, so you always have the upper hand being faster.
Like say if this Groudon is like +2 speed, +2 attack, Ditto can come in, copy these stats, and because it has Choice Scarf, you can go faster and kill the other Groudon. So this matchup may be decided by the Ditto because otherwise Hack's team is a little bit weak to Hyper Offense. His Pokemon aren't that bulky, it seems. Depends on how it is, but like it's pretty weak to Stealth Rock just because you have two birds, and it's a lot rougher without Ditto. So this matchup will probably be decided by Ditto.
Yeah. Drill leading to get the rocks off Yveltal.
By the way, Yveltal comes in. This is already a big moment because using Yveltal as taunt here and is faster than Excadrill. If it does, then you might want to do something else like Rock Tomb or something like that. If it has Rock Tomb. So this is already a crossroads for Mega Zygarde. Hack probably has taunt here just because I don't know why you go Yveltal unless you had taunt.
Maybe
it's not really
hoping for a flinch into KO was maybe my idea, but
true. It could be Specs, and it could just be Dark Pulsing. You were right, actually. This is Specs, it's just Dark Pulsing, and it gets the flinch, which is lucky for Hack.
Yeah.
He gets to keep no hazards off. He gets basically free Pokemon kill. Now it's 5v6.
Yeah.
And now Darkrai Sleep Hole. Hole is one of the better sleep absorbers.
Also crits.
Has Sleep Talk.
And the Sacrifice.
Misses the Sacrifier.
But
so
that's not as bad as that's not as bad as the Excadrill getting flinched, to be fair, because the Hole can just shrug that off with Regenerator and come back in later. Also,
I mean, at this point though, if you switch out, you're at 52%, and then Rocks takes you like 2%. Like I don't know if you want to switch out because there's not really any good Darkrai switch-ins.
But what else would put up Rocks other than Excadrill? Would there be a reason to have double Rocks?
Correct. You're right. But I'm not sure if you switch out or you do switch out. He does switch out. He goes Arceus Ground.
Yeah, I believe that's the best play here because the only Pokemon of Hack that is faster is the Mega Gengar at 130. But because of how Megas work here, it isn't faster on the turn right away. And Ditto you can't bring in because you're not sure if it kills depending on the moves it has. Maybe if it doesn't have like a Fox Blast.
Also, you need Ditto this matchup. It's a little bit too risky to just chuck it out, and like you don't want to take like 40% of Ditto for no reason. This could be really important for like, say if it's like a Rayquaza or like Arceus E-Killer, extreme speed. Like your Ditto's HP matters a lot for that, so it's important to keep it, or at least not throw its HP away for no reason. So this is a good move.
And keeping the Ho-Oh alive also plays into Sleep Clause, having MZ unable to sleep anything else. The Thunder.
And even better because he Thunders, so alright, but now he Nasty Plots, and this is a Thunder Wave, which makes sense. Otherwise, Arceus Ground can't do that much to Darkrai. Now that it's paralyzed, he can tap the Ho-Oh and then kill it right back.
Yeah. Flinching with the sub, because it's very likely that Darkrai will get paralyzed one time down the road, so gets paralyzed immediately. So if it had hit,
Also,
Yeah.
Hack may want to make him like attack a bit to like lower his HP into range because it's Life Orb Darkrai. I don't
Yeah.
think Cloud Wave kills right here. It's not enough. Like Darkrai is not that frail. So let's see how much this does. Oh, it does kill right away. So now he has a Gengar for sub up, which is pretty good. Let's
Yeah,
see what
does
his
get
set
to
is.
use one Shadow Ball. Does little less than half, so it has to switch
A lot
out
of
now.
damage.
Dragon Pulse.
So this is another mixed Groudon. So Gengar does a lot of damage. Now Groudon's pretty low, and you can probably just go Arceus ground like pretty freely now.
So,
Or you can go for another ball to kill it.
so I do
Almost kill it.
wonder, why would you run Dragon Pulse instead of Dragon Claw, even on a mixed Groudon?
Well, it's mostly because Giratina, it runs very heavy fizz attack. Not very heavy, but its standard set is just 252 defense, 252 special attack because it's actually pretty threatening too.
Oh,
But
alright.
it's because Giratina has such high like base HP, you want to run some defense. Like that's more optimal. This means that Dragon Pulse really like does a lot more than Dragon Claw actually, and it's mostly because you want the Groudon's strongest move is actually like the Fire Blast boosted by Stun, right? And so you're resting a lot in special attack, and so actually Dragon Pulse does more, like it's just a little bit stronger because it's coming off the stronger special attack stat of Groudon. Primal Groudon, maybe people don't know, but it has a 150 base special attack stat. I think it's really high too, which is surprising.
Yeah.
So special attack sets are actually like mixed sets. They're very threatening. Fire Blast does way more damage than any ground move could do unboosted because it has a stun to boost it too.
Yeah.
So this is why I want Dragon Pulse. The only problem with it is that Latios is way bulkier on the special side. So
Yeah. A second thing I just thought of, but I'm unsure about, Landorus T maybe, but I don't know how prevalent that one is.
that one used to be more popular, but people nowadays consider it kind of shit.
Alright, yeah.
But that is definitely another plus of mixed Groudon is that Fire Blast absolutely destroys Landorus T. And now he switches in his Groudon here.
Does switch out immediately. Gets up the
He
Stealth
probably
Rocks.
wants to keep. All right. So can we pause right here for a second?
Yeah.
So he switched in Groudon probably just because he didn't he wanted to keep Arceus Ground healthy, which makes sense. Arceus Ground is good into Rayquaza and Gengar, and Primal Groudon I guess wasn't as useful to him. So I assume Hack was very happy to just not sack it, but trade it away for like Stealth Rocks, which is very nice for breaking the stash of Rayquaza. But this is Surf. Surf or Waterfall is used because it has Airlock, so it can basically
Negate any weather effects.
ability. Right, yes. So it hits him with a 4 times effective move, and Groudon instantly dies. For Hack, I guess it isn't as big of a deal because he didn't want to like switch in he didn't want to risk Arceus Ground, and I guess Rayquaza. Alright, I guess Groudon to him wasn't that useful anymore. There's not that much that Groudon checks on Mega Zygarde's team, except for maybe Gengar. It's nice form, but you already have Yveltal.
Oh yeah, what I'm also wondering about... Oh, never mind. I thought the ground was faster, but that was the previous turn where it set up the Stealth Rocks.
But it seems like special Rayquaza maybe, because Surf is a little bit odd. Okay, well, maybe not. That Dragon Ascent did a lot of damage. And now Arceus Ground, I guess, doesn't have Ice Beam. Or it might not have Ice Beam. It's trying to recover off and hope for paralysis.
Probably Judgment Defog in this team.
Maybe. Probably, yeah. Or it could be Ice Beam, and I'm not sure where else run Defog. Yeah, it's definitely not Ice Beam then. It's just gonna PP stall out, not PP stall out, Life Orb stall out Rayquaza.
Yeah.
And get it to kill itself. Unfortunately, this Rayquaza doesn't have a setup move. It doesn't have Dragon Dance or anything. Although, to be honest...
Gets a crit here, now gets the E-Speed.
E-Speed will kill,
Yeah.
and okay, Arceus Ground is dead now.
Yeah, now Heck gets to
Fair,
Parafish
uh,
again.
to be fair, for Mega Zygarde, I said maybe a Dragon Dance would help, but now that I think of it, you don't want your Dragon Dance to be copied by Ditto, who's unparalyzed, so Dragon Dancing might be a choke.
Yeah, so forfeiting after that, there's not really a way to recover. The Stealth Rocks would put the Groudon below the margin, would get OHKO'd by the Shadow Ball. Gengar would also
Right.
immediately faint, and Arceus, it could Sludge Wave and then probably Destiny Bond as the last move. Yeah, but
I do think maybe it's a little bit early to forfeit because you still have chances with Arceus.
yeah,
It's definitely losing, but like I assume this isn't protect Gengar because otherwise he could go for speed time maybe.
yeah.
Like Arceus, it might not. What it might be, this could be no protect Gengar, or just it could be protect Gengar, and it's probably like no recovery. Arceus, it might just be it might just die to two sludge waves, and then like it just loses right away. And there's always Ditto on the back, which revenge kills everything. So yeah, a little bit of a tough matchup here. There wasn't that much that he could do. Like his team is kind of weak to this Gengar set with substitute and two strong attacking moves. And this Ditto was just really strong in the back. Like it didn't do anything, but it sealed the game because MZ knows that anytime it setups, a Ditto can just come in and revenge kill it.
Yeah. So I would say we had pretty interesting games to talk about. First game was stall versus offense. Second, stall versus stall. Also, offense versus balance, I say. Also, or maybe like more
Ironically,
bulky offense. Yeah, it's also
I was
one.
saying that how like you were saying how you thought that maybe balance was like in between and not very good. Ironically, in these 4 games, I just saw like these 8 players, not many of them brought balance. I don't know if any of them were balanced teams. Like they were all like stall, bulky offense or like hyper offense.
Yeah.
Yeah, balance is really fallen off favor in ORAS because, well, to put it like succinctly, it's not strong enough to break stall, and it's not fast enough for hyper offense.
Yeah. All right. So normally we would go over like predictions for the following week, but it's already Sunday evening and most matches of week 5 have already been played. So we can't really go into that, but for next week we're hoping to get out a video over Sun and Moon. And other than that, goodbye.